What's up, everybody? It's Hank here with Break MMA. Very excited about this guest because it's always good to have people on that share the same love of the same sport. I like having people on that watch MMA and people like fighters, but a lot of people think automatically that just because you fight in MMA that you watch every MMA fight and watch fighters. I've actually interviewed a few fighters that said that they're not even fans of MMA. They don't watch it. They're not a part of it. They just fight, and then they don't keep up with nothing else. But the guy I have on today absolutely loves this sport just like I do. Lucas Grandsire.
Yeah, that's right. And thanks for getting that last name right. You don't know how many people butcher it.
I was hoping I was right. Is it because
Yeah.
when you look at it, it looks kind of like Grandsire, but it's Grandsire.
Yeah, just like it's spelled. Some people, they like throw an H in there. I've been called Grand Desire, but hey, that's cool. I'll take that one.
I got it. I got it first try though.
Hell yeah, man. That's rare.
But we're gonna before we jump in our topics, man. What made you, and just briefly, what made you get into this? Was it like a lifelong thing, or you just loved watching MMA, or was it just something you kind of stumbled upon? What makes you? You're an interviewer, you're a reporter and all this stuff, and do you do articles and all that too?
Yep, that's right. That's what for
Writer,
flow.
yeah, writer articles. I mean, what made you get into this?
All right, so it's gonna sound really stupid, but I watched a movie. It was called Warrior. It's got Tom Hardy and Joel Edgerton, and I mean, I'd always known about MMA, but I watched that movie and I liked it. And so after that, I started watching some highlights, and I was still in high school, so I was in class with my friends. We're watching highlights instead of studying, and before you know it, I felt like I had to make a Twitter, post my opinion, and then before you know it, I ended up being a media member, and I'm actually talking to the people I'm watching on TV.
Now, a lot of people get misconceptions, about, and I'm not even sure if you can really talk about this or, if you really have the answer, but like somebody like Ariel, obviously Ariel gets a lot of money from specific shows, so, but like when you interview a fighter, how do you get paid through that? Is it like through your company? Is it, like, how does that system work necessarily?
So basically, you have to be attached to an outlet if you're doing it independently, unless you have a sponsor or something like that. But basically, I work for Flow Combat. I work for SureDog, and you do interviews for them. For Flow Combat, I did articles, and then basically that's how you make your money. Ariel, all those guys are attached to ESPN, MMA Fighting, and they're basically paid for creating their content.
Yeah, yes, because and I don't have no trouble saying this or saying this at all. I'm just like a fan, I'm just a fan who decided one day I'm gonna reach out to these guys and reach out to all these different people and see if they because a lot of people do obviously I'm a good talker, good opinion, don't hide shit, ain't scared of shit, and a lot of people like that, but I don't
Yeah.
get paid to do this, I'm not sponsored by anybody. I've had a lot of people hit me up, like I've had multiple journalists in Canada, multiple journalists for Flow Combat, all these other places that, follow me on Twitter and hit me up and stuff like that. But I don't necessarily I wouldn't call myself a journalist, and people do that sometimes. Like, but I'm kind of like I guess you could say a media member, I guess you could say. But I'm doing this just as a fan's point of view. I'm not gonna interview these guys the same way you probably would, because you that's your job, you get paid for it. I'm more going from a fan perspective.
Well, I mean, that's what makes you unique. That's a strength. I sort of have to, keep it professional, and there's something you have to stick with. But I mean, you can really, talk to the fighter and really get into the more, less boring stuff and get to the more interesting stuff. So that, that's one of your strengths. As someone who's independent, you don't really have to worry about what anyone thinks, of course.
Yeah, definitely. And I think you said before we went live that you have checked it out. If you haven't, definitely, just give a few listens to a couple of them and let me know what you think about it.
Oh, for sure, man. I enjoyed it. I think I watched the one with Fabian Edwards and John Sloan. Some good stuff, man. I think it's unique, and that's one of the strengths. If we're all doing the same thing, then what's the point? What's going to make a fan choose Ariel over you?
Right.
Stuff like that. So if you're unique, man, that's all that matters, and it's good content. So that's what's important.
Yeah, and I showed you, and I've told all my people I don't hide it. Only thing I'm working with is 2 iPhones and a Beats pill.
Yeah, for sure. I mean, we're gonna improve that, man. You're gonna get better over time. Find your techniques, and just continue to get better. That's how we do it.
Oh yeah, but I got three major topics. We're gonna go over today. The first of which is it's really crazy if we sit and like really think about it. What's happened with Kamar Usman and Colby Covington and not Damian Maya, Tyron Woodley, and now you got Ben Askren, kind of in there too if he beats Robbie Lawler. And just to throw this in there, I've got a podcast. I'm not sure which one it was, but I called Robbie Lawler, Ben Askren like 2-3 months before it happened. Like right when it was all going down, I was interviewing somebody and they were like, they got to give Ben somebody in the 1 or 2. And I was like, I promise you and I guarantee you they will give him Robbie Lawler. And it ended up happening. But so Colby was the interim champ. He won the interim champ from RDA. And did Colby... I seen somebody tweet that Colby only fought once in 2018. I could be wrong, but didn't he fight twice? He fought Maya and RDA.
Yeah, that sounds right to me. I mean, I'd have to look it up, but I'm pretty sure he fought Maya, in Brazil.
Yeah.
And then, yeah.
So either way, even if it was just 1 or 2, you can't say that Colby's not been that active. I mean, he just fought RDA at UFC 225, 226, one of those two.
Yeah.
And but they ultimately give it to Usman. They scheduled Colby. They tried to get Colby once, and he had a sinus problem with his nose, and he had to have surgery. And then they tried to get Woodley, but they ended up doing Till. And then, Woodley beats Till, which was a lot of people, including myself, I predicted Till would win, but obviously not. And there's always been this beef with Dana and Tyron a little bit. They get mad, they cuss each other out, they say shit, and then they shake hands and they're cool, and then it happens all over again. From your perspective, who deserves the title shot, first of all? And out of the three, Colby, Usman, and Woodley, who do you think's the best?
To start with your first question, I think Covington, for me, I mean, he had to be the next in line. I know he fought the same guys as Usman, but he did it first. And just for that, first of all, I have him as the guy who deserves it. And on top of it, he won a title. I know he won it and lost it pretty quickly, but, he was interim champion for a reason. So, I think it's a little bit ridiculous what's going on. It's sort of a negotiation tactic. Same thing. Yair Rodriguez got cut because he didn't want to take a fight. Now he's back. It's a ridiculous situation, but I think Covington deserved it. Whether you like him or not, whether you like his persona, it doesn't matter. It's what happens in the cage. And for me, he may not be the most entertaining, but you know what? He did it first. He won a title. For me, there's no reason he shouldn't get the next title shot, even if, they had to push back the Woodley fight and wait a little bit to book it.
So does Kamar, in your opinion, beat Woodley? Because I stated a long time ago, and I'm on the record, that I think Colby beats Tyron. I picked Colby against RDA. If you'll remember, a lot of people thought RDA was going to smash him. People thought Rafael dos Anjos was going to smash Colby. And it was really a one-sided beating. He didn't really destroy him, but he just kept that pace. Colby's got that pace, where he just pushes you against the fence, takes you down, awkward punches, awkward kicks from awkward angles, and he just makes you uncomfortable. And I'm not saying it's going to be pretty. I'm not saying it's going to look good when he fights Tyron. I believe if Tyron and Colby fight, he's gonna get beat up a little bit. He's going to lose a round or two. But in my opinion, and I'm going to get hate, and I know people are going to call bullshit, I think Colby is the best out of all three of those options.
I'm gonna have to disagree with you on that one. I
figured.
Colby's a good fighter. Don't get me wrong. I know people, they tend to hate him, so they think he sucks. He doesn't suck. He's a very good fighter, but as good as his wrestling is, I think he's got so many weaknesses with the stand-up. I mean, anytime you get pieced up by Damian Maya, you've got problems. I mean, this is a guy who doesn't even want to punch. But he's got great wrestling. He can definitely hang with any of them. And he's got a chance of beating all of them. I don't disagree with that. Kamaru, he's similar to Colby, but he's got knockout power. Just it feels like he doesn't want to use it. We saw him use it once against Sergio Moraes, and then after that, he's just wrestling guys, and he's proud of his pressure. So I think that's a problem. But Kamaru's gonna have a puncher's chance against anybody. But I think out of the three, for me, Tyron is better than all of them, and I think part of that is because he's smarter than all of them. I mean, he's so quick, he's so fast. Just watching his punches, it's ridiculous. And, he's so much smarter than them. John Jones, we said he's good at adjusting. Same thing with Tyron Woodley. And he's got a great corner. So I think just for that, I think Tyron can beat both of them. But, they can definitely beat him. Being wrestlers, there's always that path to victory. But for me, Tyron is better than both of them.
So, but who would you put as that number two? I'm guessing you've got Kamar. I'm guessing. Let me guess. You've got Woodley, Kamar, Colby. Is that how it goes for you?
I mean, I have it Kamaru, but it's really close. It's not like, oh, it's definitely Kamaru. It's, it could be either one of them because they both sort of do something similar. I think just because Kamaru's got that power and his stand-up is slightly better, I have Kamaru. But if you have Covington as number two, I have no problem with that because he's definitely he's a good fighter. But I feel like that stand-up is such a weakness compared to someone like Kamaru or especially Tyron Woodley.
And I've always gone back to Woodley, referring to whoever dethrones Woodley will be somebody who grinds him against the cage. The only time he's ever been knocked out was against Nate Marquardt. And if people remember, Nate had him up against the fence, and I don't remember which round. I think it was the third or fourth round. Fourth round. But I watched it live. It was crazy, But I've always said that the path to that victory is similar to that. You got to push Woodley against the fence. You got to grind him. You got to make him a little tired, make him doubt himself a little bit, maybe elbows. And that's why I thought Till was going to do so good because Till has very sneaky elbows in the clinch. Like he busted Cowboys and broke his nose with that elbow right down the middle. So, but I think Colby would grind Tyron. I think if Tyron and Colby fight, I think Tyron wins round 1 and 2, gets a little bit confident and a little tired, and Colby grinds him for 3, 4, and 5 for a decision. I could be wrong, and as far as Kamaru, I've slept on him for a long time, I wasn't exactly sold, but when he beat RDA, you can't, RDA's legit, but he's getting older too. Dawson Jones is getting older. And I just, like you said, it's so close. They're all so evenly matched. I don't think we get a dominant fight from either one of them. Like, we can change them, and I don't think it's going to be pure dominance on either side.
Well, I think the advantage that both Usman and Covington have over Woodley is that they're physically bigger. Woodley's only 5'9". He's so much smaller than everybody else, and makes up for it with muscle. But I think that lack of size, if they can hold him against the fence, is definitely going to play against him. But I think he's a different fighter from when he fought Nate Marquardt. I think his gas tank's a little bit better. But when you've got so much muscle, that gas tank, that's always going to be a problem. So I think you're right in a way. They're really going to have to grind him out, make him tired, and then fourth and fifth round, they're going to have to take advantage of that. But I think the way you beat Woodley, it's going to be very precise. It's not going to be go out there and you're going to have a specific game plan in order to do it because he's such a tough guy.
Yeah, a lot of people sleep on Woodley, and he does complain a lot. I mean, like the whole he says racism shit, and all this in the past, and you never really know. And him and Dana have had back and forth, and Dana called him out for the least amount of punches and, all that shit. And boring fights. And he has had a couple of non-entertaining fights. I watched the Maya fight live. I watched the Wonder Boy fights. And he's had some, some performances. But if you look through the roster, a whole lot of guys have had that. I think with Woodley's problem is people don't want to hear you complain so much. He complains so much. And I just think people don't want to hear that.
Well, I think you're right in a way that it's okay to say this, but some of his fights have been boring. That's true. And the problem is he's so smart. He's overthinking these fights. And instead of thinking, I need to nullify his advantage and then use that, it's sort of, Damian Maia, shut down Damian Maia. And then it was kind of like he forgot that, okay, you need to do something too. He didn't go to the ground with him. And he knocked him down, I think, twice. So it was good, but you feel like, you're fighting defensively really well, but now let's turn up that offense. So I think he's overthinking a few of these fights more, I need to shut down my opponent, and then he's forgetting that, okay, now you have to beat him. Especially Maia, I feel like he was miles ahead of him in the stand-up, and that's a fight he definitely could have finished, and he almost did a couple of times. So, it's frustrating. You see Damian Maia fall, and he's like, come in guard. I wanted to be like, Woodley, I understand you respect his jiu-jitsu, but, you could have used those angles and you could have finished that fight. So I think it's frustrating. And then you hear him complain. I know it's easy for me to look at fans and think, okay, that's why they don't like Woodley. I mean, he's not the most entertaining, being so technical. And then on top of it, he's complaining, so I get it. But I think when we give him a favorable matchup like another wrestler, because we forget how good his wrestling is, I think that's when we're going to see him shine a little bit more and show us what he really has, because he's a really good fighter, and we tend to forget that with when we watch fights like against Damian Maia or that second Thompson fight.
Yeah, and if Colby beats Woodley, he is never going to be able to live that down. If Colby takes Woodley's belt, Woodley, I mean, that's just going to devastate him. But, going on to our next topic, and I've went on the record for this one too, and I'm biased. Jeremy Stephens is one of my favorite fighters, always has been. My most heartbreaking moment in MMA ever was when Jose Aldo beat Jeremy Stephens with that body shot. It broke my heart. Because if Jeremy beat Aldo, Jeremy was fighting Max. And that could have changed the whole landscape of featherweight. Like, I know Jeremy Stephens and Max Holloway, they fought once before at UFC 194, and they went to a decision for Max. But 5 rounds is different than 3, for one. And Jeremy Stephens just has dynamite in those hands. He's going up against Zabit Magomed Sharipov. I got that right. And I am 100%, not like 50, 60, I am 100% confident that Jeremy Stephens will knock this guy out.
Jeremy Stephens said he's your favorite fighter. He's actually my favorite MMA meme. You know what I mean? All the stuff that happened with Conor, and people put, they don't fucking move and all that stuff. I love it. I just think it's so funny because, in his head, he thought he was going to come out with such a fire line, and instead it came out so bad. So for that, he's my favorite meme. When it comes to the actual fight, I think Zabit, people are getting a little bit carried away. He's a good fighter. Don't get me wrong. He's pulling out submissions. He's fun to watch, and he's big. But Jeremy Stephens, he's a gatekeeper. He's a gatekeeper as well. And I know that sounds bad, but if you can beat him, you deserve the title shot. And if you can't, that's he's miles ahead of a lot of fighters. So I think Zabit, this is a big challenge. I'm not sure he's going to pull it off. I think Jeremy should win this fight, but even if Zabit loses, it's not a bad thing. He can go back and change some things. And even for Jeremy, you know what I mean? We can't, nobody wants to see him continue to lose against these young guys either. So I think Jeremy wins it. I think he's got the experience. And we've seen him change his game plan. Those before it was sort of, I'm going to follow you with these hammers I call hands. And now we're seeing the leg kicks where guys can't walk and they can't fucking move. And we're seeing him change his game, so I like that. And for that, I think I have Jeremy Stephens. But, Zabit's a good fighter. I just think it's a little bit too much too soon. But I also think this was the right fight to make for him, too.
Yeah, we're 100%. And actually, I've talked to a lot of people about this, and you're the only ones I've spoke to so far that has Jeremy. They're 100% on the Zabit train. And I tried to explain to him, he's beat Brandon Davis, no disrespect, but Brandon Davis and Kyle Bogniak. That's his only 2 really high profile wins, and there might be one more that I'm leaving out or something, but those are the only 2 that really stick out. And yeah, he got that crazy stretch submission on Brandon Davis, but he's not battle tested like Jeremy Stephens.
Well, that's the thing. Jeremy Stephens, I had to do a tape study on him before he fought. I think it was Gilbert Melendez. Just seeing how long he's been just in the UFC. I mean, some of these fights, I even forgot they happened, against Anthony Pettis, for example. So I think we forget just how experienced he is and how much, and he's still good to this day. So, and, I think Zabit, we're all people are sort of victims to his hype. You know what I mean? He's pulling off the crazy submissions. He's a fun fighter. I like watching him fight, but I just think, sort of like with Darren Till before Tyron Woodley, people are getting a little bit carried away with it. And, but I mean, if he wins Jeremy Stephens, good for him. He gets to move on to that next level and continue with the hype. But, I don't think he will. And even if he doesn't, that's okay. It's not it's not bad to lose to someone like Jeremy Stephens.
Oh, yeah, no, not at all. And I've always campaigned, too, Jeremy should consider 155. He's a big 145er, and he used to be at 155. He KO'd RDA, you remember, at 155 at one point in time. But it's all on. I think 145 is a good weight class, and like I said, if he'd have beat Aldo, he would have fought Max right then and there next. But another thing coming up, and it's the very first show on ESPN Plus. Dillashaw Cejudo at 125. Now, first off, what's your pick? Who do you think's going to win? And is this the end of 125?
Who do I have winning? I think TJ Dillashaw. I mean, I'm a little bit worried about his weight cut, but I think we're also forgetting that he has to lose 10 pounds extra, so he is going to look a little bit skinnier than usual, and he's already a skinny guy. But for me, if the weight cut doesn't go wrong and everything goes fine, I think he wins. Cejudo, I've never, aside from, maybe the Wilson Hayes fight and the fight against Joseph Benavidez, I was impressed, but I think people get a little bit carried away with the whole, I'm a gold medal winner and all that stuff. So I think TJ's miles above everybody else. And for me, he should be the clear pick as long as the weight cut goes fine. For 125, I think that is done. I mean, I don't see why you'd cut so many prospects and so many good fighters. The only thing that sort of makes me go, well, is the Joseph Benavidez signing that 4-year deal. So that'd be the only thing where I'm like, maybe, but, I think the division's done, and it's a shame, but, I think it's a good fight, to end the division.
I got TJ Dillashaw also. I think it's probably going to be either a third-round KO, maybe third-round TKO, or possibly a decision. Henry is an amazing wrestler, obviously. Olympic gold medalist. I mean, he's 9 out of 10 times, probably 9.5 out of 10, he's going to take you down if he wants to. But people have been able to get back up. They've been able to assert themselves. I did think he beat Mighty Mouse in their second fight. I had him winning. It was close. But I think TJ, he looks shredded. You've seen him on Twitter and Instagram and stuff.
Yeah.
He looks shredded. He looks like he's already dropping some pounds. I'm sure he's prepping in advance. But I think TJ's going to put on a show in this one. Personally, I think TJ's going to shine in this one.
I mean, TJ's stand-up, it's just incredible. Just the fight against Dominic Cruz, wow. And I think that's what the difference is. He can wrestle. He's training at Team Alpha Male, Chad Mendez, all those wrestlers. I just don't think, he's going to get surprised by anything Cejudo has to offer on the ground. And even Cejudo, he's not like a Kamaru Usman. He's not this huge guy that's just going to grab you and throw you on the ground. So I think he's a great wrestler. I just don't think it's going to be enough. I think that stand-up is just miles above everybody else. So I honestly, I don't see how Cejudo gets it done. If he does, of course, that's great for him. But I think the UFC, they booked this one. They want TJ to end the division, walk away with the belt, and then leave no stone unturned.
Somebody said this a couple of days ago, and I don't even know if this would be possible, but TJ could possibly be the first guy to have 3 belts. Let's say he gets 135. He's already there at 135. He beats Cejudo. He's 125. Let's say he gets on the mic and says, Max Holloway, let me gain 10 pounds from 135 and let me see if I'm big enough and bad enough to fight you at 145. And when I think about it, that doesn't sound realistic because Max Holloway is so goddamn big. He's he's a big featherweight. He should probably be a lightweight. So, but does that make a little sense? TJ possibly has the key to the first ever triple champ.
Why not? If I'm TJ, I'm going for it. The only thing to keep in mind, Max Holloway is 5'11", and I think he was training with, was it Woodley? And he made it look like he was at welterweight and Woodley was at featherweight. So I think this guy's enormous. And TJ is 5'7", so he could probably move up to 145. I just don't think he's going to beat Max Holloway or even Jeremy Stevens. If I'm him, I'm going for it. Why not get that payday? And who knows, right, if you win that one. But I don't think it's going to happen. If it does, that'd be crazy considering 145 still has contenders and stuff going on. So personally, I don't think it's realistic. So I don't think that's going to happen.
But do you think we'll ever see a triple champ? Like we've seen DC, the double champ, Conor, double champ. Couture back in the day wasn't at the same time, but 2 different weight. BJ Penn. But do you think we'll ever see somebody do the 3 titles?
We might, if somebody who does it, take a look at someone like Luke Rockhold, for example. He's 6'3" and he's huge. Say, he already won the middleweight belt. Now we're going to see him at 205, and he's not going to look small. He could probably move up to heavyweight and not look small either. So maybe someone like that could do it, but realistically, I just think there's a reason there are weight classes, and if, you're going from, 2 weight classes above, I just don't think it's going to work. But it could potentially happen, I know they're teasing McGregor at, 165?
Yeah.
Maybe, but I think, there's going to be a size difference. There's going to be guys so much bigger than you that are going to take advantage. So probably, with the way weight cutting's going, but I don't think it's going to be anytime soon.
Yeah, I probably agree. It'd be cool, though, because if you think a couple years ago, there wasn't even no double champ thing. Like, the double champ just became a thing, really, when Conor and Eddie happened, and after that, everybody wants to be double champ. But it would be cool to see somebody, 1 around the waist and 2 over each shoulder. It'd be a cool moment in MMA.
I think it'd be cool, but at the same time, you'd hold up a lot of divisions. Look at, say, Robert Whittaker, for example. Look at how often he fights. You feel like you watch him once a year. So could you imagine defending 3 belts? I think it'd be cool, but, take your picture and then give the belts back because I don't want to see all those divisions slow down and then tons of different weight cuts to different classes. I just don't think that'd be healthy. But sure, it would be cool. Just don't hold up the divisions.
Well, man, I appreciate you so much for coming on here and talking some MMA with me.
Yeah, of course, man. I'm happy to do it.
Yes, and I will upload it. As soon as I upload it, I'll tag you in it so you can post it to your page and all that stuff. And where can they find you on Twitter?
You can find me at Grandsire MMA. If you see my last name, it's just MMA at the end. That's where you can find me. And my YouTube channel, which is in the link in my Twitter description.
Yes, sir. Thank you so much, man. I appreciate it.
Of course, man. Thank you so much for having me on. I'm looking forward to watching the rest of the stuff you make.
Yeah, and I'll stay in contact with you, and we'll have you on again soon.
Oh, for sure, man. I appreciate that. All right, man. Have a good one.
You too. I hope you guys enjoyed this Smoke Break MMA episode with Lucas Grandsire. Grandsire, not Grandsire. But have a good day, you guys. Take it easy.